Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, and welcome to that for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, 29 stations across the great state of Michigan, and so glad to have you along with us. How are you? What are you up to? Have you done anything fun since we last talked? I'll be honest with you. I really haven't. I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but I have not been on the water, and I am jonesing so very badly. I hope to get out there tomorrow afternoon on the Angler Quest on Saginaw Bay, a quick solo trip. And then the day after tomorrow, I'm taking some friends of mine. By the time you hear this show, you will probably have seen those pictures on Facebook. Brent James will be along with us, Ross Elliott along with us, and Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats. They were Glenn Venner can't make it, but I'll get him out in the future. They were the high bidders. Well, actually, they tied with the high bidders on the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. And I owe those guys a fishing trip, and I am excited to get them out there. I'm curious to see how my beloved skinny water is holding up. With the surface temps as warm as they are, you would think those fish would be gone. I'm going to find out. And if they're gone, we'll go deep. I don't like fishing deep. My confidence level is not high there. And when I say deep, I'm talking 25 feet, right? When I fish deeper water, like 25 feet, and I can mark fish so I know where they're at, but I'm fishing high fish, I'm fishing suspended fish, I'm fishing fish on the bottom. When I'm in water 10 feet, I know where those fish are, and I can cover that. And that's just my comfort factor. There won't be any night crawlers on the boat. I've been accused of being an elitist because I don't like night crawlers. It's not that I don't like night crawlers. I just don't want to use night crawlers if I don't have to. And if I can catch them on plastic and metal, being spoons and flicker shads or Hottentots, that's what I'm going to run. I don't like trolling at 1 mile an hour. I feel like I'm just not covering any ground. I'd like to get out there about 2.5 miles an hour. People ask me all the time, Avery, what speed do you troll those flicker shads at? I troll them about 2.5. I am a guy who fishes. I don't experiment that much. My go-to speed on number 7 flicker shads is about 2.5 miles an hour. I will slow them down occasionally. I will speed them up sometimes. I will do turns to vary the speed to see, if on a given day a fish wants it slower or if they want it faster. I will do that. But I start out at 2.5. I spend most of my day trolling about 2.5. And I probably miss a lot of fish because I'm not trolling slower or trolling faster. Lance Valentine of Walleye 101 teaching fishing, he starts at 3 miles an hour and gets up to 3.5. I just can't make myself do it. Tell you one thing about trolling at those faster speeds, you better make sure your baits are tuned. Now, what do I mean by that? And you would think when you pull a bait out of the box that it's going to run perfectly straight. Most of them do, not always. Tuning a bait is the process of getting it to run straight. And you might find some baits will run good at a slower speed, like 2 miles an hour, but if you bump it up to 2.5, 3 miles an hour, they're going to start to kick out to the right or the left. You don't want them to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, they won't reach their maximum depth. And I use Mark Romanap's Precision Trolling app, and so I want to know where they are at their maximum depth, so they won't reach their maximum depth. And the biggest problem with me is if they're not running true and they kick out to the right or the left, you are more likely to get tangles when you're running multiple lines. And there are days when I'll run 12 rods on the Angler Quest. And you better have your baits running true, running straight, to avoid tangles, and even then, you're going to get tangles. Doing a Facebook Live right now, John says he keeps his night crawlers on ice water, and they're not a problem anyway. I get that. I get that. Back when I used to experiment with crawlers, I would wash them off so they were nice and clean. I just don't like trolling so slow. Anyway, tune those baits. How do you tune the baits? Well, you can use an offshore tackle easy crankbait tuner. Or you can use a pair of pliers. I like the crankbait tuner because the pliers I tend to overcompensate. And I'm always afraid I'm going to break that little wire loop off and then the bait will be worthless. As you're looking at the back of the boat, if the bait is kicking to the right as you're looking at it, you bend the little eye to the left. Just a touch. Not very much. Just a touch. I mentioned number 7 flicker shads. That's my go-to bait. It used to be Hottentots. You can still catch fish on Hottentots. In the skinny water, I will often put out a few Hottentots, usually a purple rattle Hottentot. I did pick up a couple of number 9 flicker shads, well, 4 of them, to try to get a little bit deeper. You can always accomplish that by putting a weight in front of it or putting it behind some kind of a diving planer or an offshore tadpole. So there are ways to get your baits deeper. But you can tell I've been doing a lot of thinking about fishing lately, more than I have been fishing, and it's driving me crazy. Speaking of that trolling speed, I want to bring something up. As I say, I have a lot of people ask me questions. Not that I am an expert at all. I don't pretend to be. I'm not going to tell you that I am. I'm out there a fair amount, and I am very passionate about it. I catch my fair share of fish, not as many as a lot of people. But because I am fairly visible, and people know I fish for Saginaw Bay walleye a lot, they send me questions. I got a question from a guy a couple of weeks ago, and he was trying to ask me what speed I trolled at, but I don't know if he had fat fingers or what, or if he was using a voice to text or what, but it didn't come across very well, and I couldn't figure out what he was saying. And I responded and says, I can't follow you. Please try again what you're asking. And he didn't right away, and I kind of got busy and got off on some other things, and to be honest with you, I forgot about it. And I have so many different emails and texts and voicemails and social media messages that I check that I'm not always on them multiple times a day. Well, he was not happy that I did not respond right away. I'll tell you this right now. If I don't respond to you right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's not because I'm being rude. It's not because I do not want to interact with you at all. It's just sometimes things get away from me. Probably the best way, the single best way, if you want to get in touch with me to ask me a question, a comment, a criticism, anything, is to send me an email because I am constantly, unfortunately, checking my emails. Send it to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. If I do not respond to you in what you consider to be a reasonable amount of time, send me another one. And in the title line of this email, put, "Hey, stupid." Because that always gets my attention, and I realize, oh, this is something I missed earlier. I would ask you not to put "Hey, stupid" in the subject line with your very first email, though, which I've had people do. And I don't know if that was a slip or if that was intentional. Oh, hey, did you hear it? Well, coming up here after the break, we're gonna have Bob Ransom of Primal Tree Stands on. They have unveiled, and it's now available for you to purchase, their new Primal Tree Stands Wraith 270, and you get it for $200. And there's a promo code. Well, if you use the promo code Mike20, details about that after the break. But I am very, very excited about that. If you go to my Facebook page or YouTube channel, or just outdoorpregame.com, you can order it using the promo code Mike. Very, very excited about that. I do find myself, as much as I am enjoying fishing, jonesing for fishing, I do find myself thinking about the fall. Now, I know if I was an avid deer hunter, I would never stop thinking about it. I'm seeing a lot of pictures of monster bucks out in bean fields looking through spotting scopes right now. And I'm very, very sad. I don't feel like my summer is going to be complete because I can't make my annual trip to White River, Ontario. That's all right. I'm going hunting with Johnny Bowler near Newberry, 3rd week in September, so I can at least get that out of my system. Did you hear we have some new state record fish? What is it? Is it salmon? Is it a walleye? Is it a largemouth, smallmouth? Is it a muskie? Even a perch? What is it? We have 2 new state record fish. One of them caught by Owen Seaway of Big Rapids, a 9-pound, 15-ounce quillback carp sucker, Muskegon River. The second one, a 33-pound bigmouth buffalo, 3 feet long, Garrett Rice on Lake Erie. Now, I don't know if those guys were targeting those fish or if they were an incidental catch, but congrats to both of those guys. I'm not sure I would know a quillback carp sucker if I ever saw it. It doesn't take anything away from the fish or from those anglers. Catching a state record fish is a big deal. Congrats to them both. Coming up on this week's show, I told you after the break, Bob Ransom of Primal Tree Stands will be along with us. Then Nick Percy of Killer Food Plots, where you should be in your food plotting schedule right now. In hour number 2, Kris Duerson of Rapid River Knifeworks will be along to help us get ready for a fall. Everybody needs a knife. Everybody needs a knife year-round in your pocket or on your belt. Then Nick Green from MUCC, he can finally talk about the status of the negotiations with the tribe regarding the 2020 consent decree. Their lips have been sealed by the court until now. I'm anxious to see what he has to say. Then our Ask Avery segment. In hour number 3, we're talking Lake Michigan salmon fishing with Dave Engel. He's been out there on the lakes more than 40 years. Best Chance Charters, bestchance2.com. And then wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar will wrap it all up. So a busy show coming up this week. I am so glad you are along with us. We will take a break. When we come back, Bob Ransom of Primal Tree Stands. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK. That's 105.7 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM and north of the bridge in the Sioux on ESPN 1400 WKNW. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Speedy Blaze. Speedy Blaze is a safe, clean, water-resistant alternative to firewood. It's safe to cook over because it's made from recycled hardwood. Check it out online at speedyblaze.com. That's speedyblaze.com. A great family-owned, Michigan-based company. You know I love that, and they make a great product. And by the way, we often give away Speedy Blaze during our Wednesday night live show on the Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page and the Mike Avery Outdoors YouTube channel as well. Now, this past week, we had a real special treat. Bob Ransom of Ameristep was with us, and we gave away one of the new Primal Wraith 270 see-through ground blinds that I had a chance to use during the turkey season and absolutely fell in love with it. Bob Ransom is with us now, though, on the Outdoor Magazine phone line to talk for a few minutes. Bob, welcome back. How are you? Bob, you there? Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Listen, always a pleasure to talk to you because you, in the outdoor industry, you are a guy who you got some chops, buddy. You started Ameristep. You were a leader there in tree stands, ground blinds. You had to take a little bit of time off, and you've come back now with Primal Tree Stands, and man, you're making some strides. Good for you.
Thank you. We're awful excited. We're awful happy with the direction things are going in, and being that we're right here in Michigan, that's awful exciting as well.
Why the outdoor industry, Bob? Of all the different venues you would have had a chance to make a living in, what was it about this hunting industry, this outdoor industry, that keeps drawing you back?
My passion for the outdoors. I've spent my whole life growing up in Michigan and, loving all 4 seasons. And I just figured I had to make a living in some form, working outside, working with, working in the great outdoors. And I narrowed it down to a few things and ended up in the hunting business. Well,
you have, from the outside, you have lived the American dream. You started a company with 1 screw in tree step. You grew it into this great big company. You got bought out by a bigger company. I mean, that is the American dream right there, Bob.
It was exciting at the time. It was. I agree.
At the time.
I agree.
At the time.
Well, Mike, now we're on to better things, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Tell me about Primal Tree Stands.
Okay, well, Primal Tree Stands, we have some real ladder stand innovation, and it's a jaw and truss system. And ladder stands, as you know, seem to be the popular form of hunting from heights these days for a lot of reasons. But then now we're evolving, and we're getting back into the ground blind business as well, and we've got some exciting, some great accessory items to enhance the experience of installing ladders. In case of you fall, we've got some other items that are designed to make it so that you go home at the end of the day, right?
Well, and I think you're talking about the Descender.
Yes, I am. Yeah, we make a Descender device, and what this is it's a 2-pound item, and it clips between your full body harness, which you should be wearing every time you go up a tree, and the tree tether. So in case of a fall, there's 1-inch webbing coiled up inside this 2-pound unit, and it will lower you to the ground at a controlled descent, allowing you to put 2 feet on the ground if you fall out of your tree stand. As you know, Mike, sometimes there are situations where people might fall out of their tree stand and have a real hard time getting back into it.
Sure.
And this will eliminate that. And, you know, it's a wonderful item. It's easy to use. You don't even know it's there. And it retails for like $60.
Well, that's pretty good insurance for $60.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a pretty nice breakthrough in the category of safety.
Well, you know, Bob, there are 2 types of tree stand hunters: those who have fallen and those who will.
Yes, there are 2 types of tree stand hunters, right?
And I think this whole safety aspect and the fact that, to be honest, our hunters are getting older, we're getting fatter. I think that's why ladder stands are so popular these days.
Yeah, ladder stands, you know, once you put them up, they're very quick and easy to get into. It's very safe, much more safe than any other form of getting in and out of a tree. And, you know, they're quiet.
I think right now is a real good time of year to be putting up your ladder stands for the fall season.
Yeah, I would agree. Get out there, get your cameras out in the woods now, start to get an idea where the deer are moving and possibly what type of deer you have in your hunting area. And, you know, get your ladder stand up out there and your hang-on stand, whatever it is that you plan on hunting from, and start to get the, you know, it won't be long and we'll be using them.
It won't be long, that's for sure. How many different tree stands do you guys offer, Bob?
Well, we make 4 or 5 different hang-on tree stands, and we make, I want to say 8 different ladders, 10 different ladders. But it's this jaw and truss system on the ladders that that we're doing extremely well with for a lot of reasons.
Tell me more about that. I mean, I hear jaw and truss. I've done a commercial spot with you guys that just ran jaw and truss ladder system. But what does that mean? What is it?
Okay, well, the jaw and truss system work in conjunction with one another. And when you put your ladder up against the tree, you're able to engage the jaw at the top of the ladder from ground level. And what that will do is give you another point of security prior to you ever going up the ladder and putting on the conventional ratchet straps. But this strap that engages the jaw from the ground, you ratchet onto the tree. And it works in conjunction with the truss system. And the truss system eliminates your conventional stabilizer bar. You no longer have to have that connection from the ladder to the tree, making certain that your ladder's stable. The truss system eliminates that, so you can use a tree, let's say, Mike, that is offset or is crooked, you know, trees down in river bottoms on the edges of fields. You know, a lot of times the spot you're going to choose to set up is not does not have a good old straight tree that you can get a stabilizer bar to the tree. The truss system eliminates that. And it all works together, and it makes it very strong, very safe, and very quiet. You ratchet those jaws around the tree from ground level, and before you even ascend up the tree, you can grab onto that ladder, and it doesn't squeak, it doesn't move, it's secure.
So rather than putting a force back horizontally towards the tree, this kind of thing kind of cinches down on itself and tightens up that way.
Correct. The truss system puts a gradual bow in the ladder, and the stabilizer webbing that engages the jaw works against that, and it draws everything tight.
You know, things like this are kind of hard to envision on the radio show, but on your website, primaltreestands.com, you have a lot of really good video explaining this. And I think if somebody's interested, I would recommend they go to the website.
Yeah, we've got some great web clips on there that explain and demonstrate how to kind of set it up and how it works, and you'll get a much better visual than listening to us on the radio.
Can you set up a ladder stand with just one guy, or is it a two-person job?
It's a two-person job. You want to have someone there to help assist in putting the ladder up against the tree.
Do you need a quad or something on these big two-man stands, or can two people do it?
Well, we've got a couple items that we make: the stands-up ladder aid and the stands-up ladder hoist. And these two items, for instance, the ladder aid, you strap up against the tree at the base of the tree, and the bottom rung of your ladder connects into the stands-up ladder aid, and that allows you and a buddy to walk the ladder up together, because the aid is going to hold the bottom of the ladder. And that's part of the trouble with putting up, especially some of these great big two-person ladders with full platforms.
Mm-hmm.
The stands-up ladder aid and the hoist. The hoist is designed to do the same thing, except use your ATV or UTV, or it works on a pulley, a rope and block system. It's a pulley system.
You're thinking about these things, Bob. I know you. Your mind never stops. You are constantly thinking about little ways to tweak these things and set up stands and make them more stable. I mean, your brain never stops, does it?
Well, we try to keep moving, Mike.
You talk about these bigger two-man ladder stands. Even though I don't hunt with two people, usually I personally like a two-man stand. Now, it used to be just because I needed the room. I don't need the room anymore, but I like the ability to put my backpack next to me or set up a tripod next to me or something. I like the comfort of a two-man stand, even though I'm up there by myself.
Yeah, the popularity of the two-person stand has taken almost first place in the ladder stand sales. And the reason being, it's not that people are hunting with two people. It's what you just said.
Yeah.
Once you get up there, the more room, the better. The more comfortable you are, the more secure you feel. And it's always nice to lay your stuff out right on the seat next to you, just in case, you need your binoculars or your grunt call or whatever it is you might need to grab a hold of right away.
Can I leave a ladder stand out if I got a really good spot and I love it and it's all trimmed up and ready to go? Can I leave it out there year-round?
No, you always want to take your equipment in. You can put it out right about now, but when the season's over, you want to take that down and bring it in. You always want to inspect, all your ratchets, your straps, everything that connects your stand to the tree, including the stand itself. You always want to inspect it, but you don't want to leave your equipment out year-round. The sun will deteriorate everything with time, and you don't want to leave it out.
Yeah, good advice. We're talking with Bob Ransom of Primal Tree Stands, the website primaltreestands.com, primaltreestands.com. They have come out with something I am very excited about, because I love to hunt out of a ground blind, and I love these new see-through ground blinds, but I don't like the price of some of these. Well, Primal has come out with a new Wraith 270. And I'll tell you right now, you can get it for $200. That's like half the cost of some of these other blinds. There's a way to do it online using a promo code Mike20. That's Mike20, and I'll whet your appetite with that. But details coming up after the break. And then we're going to talk a little food plot action. As long as we're getting ready for the fall hunting season, Nick Percy of Killer Food Plots will tell us where we should be on that. That's all coming up right this first hour of Outdoor Magazine. can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK. That's 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Tawas on WIOS, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette on WDMJ. That's 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Tracker and Angler Quest headquarters. For more info, check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com, linwoodbeachmarina.com. Great people, great location, great facility, linwoodbeachmarina.com. While you are online, of course, please check out my website, mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and check out primaltreestands.com, primaltreestands.com. Primal started out here a couple of years ago making tree stands under the direction of Bob Ransom, who is a very well name in the outdoor industry. He's been a tree stand and ground blind designer for years. And I had been on Bob for the last year or so. Bob, when you coming out with a ground blind? When you come out with a ground blind? And I'm not saying I'm taking credit for this, but Bob, I am really glad that you guys have done it.
Thanks, Mike. We're awful excited to get back into it, and I think with the Wraith 260, I think we're on the right path.
Well, see-through ground blinds are certainly the way to go these days. You were not the first people to come out with one. However, the niche I think you guys are going to fill is you're coming out with one at a price that people can afford.
Right. We're virtually half of what you can find a comparable blind in the marketplace for. With your promo code, as you mentioned earlier, you can pick this blind up for as little as $200. But you know what? The nice thing about it, we keep talking about see-through ground blinds. And to define that, the fabric on the window coverings, you can actually see right out of. It's a one-way screen, if you will, where you can see out, but when you're on the outside looking in, you cannot see movement in. So it's a fun sit.
You know what, Bob, and thank you for that clarification, because I routinely use the term see-through ground blind. And people who aren't familiar with this think, well, why do you want to be able to see into it? No, you can see out, but the critters can't see in. I had the chance to use this during the spring turkey season, Bob, and I was very, very, very impressed.
Yeah, they're a great piece of the puzzle when it comes to sitting out. You can stay concealed. And so that's a real big help, obviously, when you're out hunting.
Well, the thing about ground, I love them because they're safe. They hide your movement, and they protect you from the elements. The thing I haven't liked about ground blinds in the past is your limited visibility. I don't care how good the window configuration is, you could only see a critter when it came in front of your windows. These days, as I sit at the back of that 270 with a black panel behind me, I can see 270 degrees, and I can see anything coming in, and that way, nothing sneaks up on you, and you're ready for a shot.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to hunt out of.
Well, and the way now these are only going to be at least for now, available online, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
This, what is it called? Outdoorpregame.com. Outdoorpregame.com. If you go there and click on the Wraith 270, you're going to have an option. It's going to ask you for a promo code. If you put in the promo code Mike20, you can get this blind, listen to this, for $20 down right now. And the remaining 180 or so won't be billed to you until the blind is going to be shipped. But, Bob, the big question is, when are the blinds going to be shipped?
In about 15 days.
Oh, that's soon now. Wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. We're doing real well with them. And, when we start to ship, it's going to be a lot of fun, because you're going to have a whole lot of people that get this blind, and they'll be happy.
You're drop shipping these right to a person's residence or office, wherever they want them?
Correct.
$20 down now. The remaining $180 shipped in 15 days. That means they're going to be out in plenty of time. Like, for example, I'm going to go up to the UP here. I'm going to be bear hunting in September. But mid-August, I'm going to go up there and set up a blind. That means my Wraith 270, I can take a couple of them up there with me now, Bob. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, Yep, you can get them all set in the woods, ready for bear hunting as well as whitetail.
Well, whitetail, turkey in the spring. I don't care what you're hunting with these things, but at that price, I'm gonna buy. Well, I got to be honest. I'm gonna buy a few of them, because at that price, why not?
Thank you.
You put a lot of thought to in these windows. I mean, the silent slide windows. I really like these. I don't like zippered windows. I don't like Velcroed windows. The system you've come up with is pretty cool, Bob.
Yeah, and there's a small wire in the hem of each window, so you can kind of tailor make it, bend it around. But as you just mentioned, the silent slide windows allow you to raise and lower your window coverings without making any noise. And over the years, we've made blinds with all sorts of different window covering enclosures, and the silent slide system that we have on this blind now is by far the quietest and most accurate. You can dial it right in. Window system that we've ever come up with.
Infinitely adjustable. That's what I like as well. Bob Ransom, congrats on another great product, the Primal Tree Stands Wraith 270. I am a big fan of this, and I'm really glad to be able to offer the promo code Mike20 so people can get these for $200, $20 down, and the remainder when the blind is shipped. Nice job, Bob.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Bob Ransom of Primal Tree Stands, primaltreestands.com, primaltreestands.com. Go to the website, outdoorpregame.com. Use the promo code Mike to get your savings. Nick Percy of Killer Food Plots coming up. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on WKYO. That's 1360 AM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. And let's go north of the bridge, way north, Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. If you've ever wanted to be a charter captain, if you've ever wanted to get your license, I am convinced that this is the way to go. Captain Mel Stackpool does a wonderful job. He's got some great instructors working for him. It's a pretty intense class. It's about 7 to 9 days, depending on how the students are doing. At the end, you will take your Coast Guard exam, and Captain Mel guarantees you will pass that exam. Now, that's a pretty big statement, right? I did this. I passed my exam. I now have my captain's license, and I could not have done it without Great Lakes Charter Training. There are other ways. You can try to do it on your own. I couldn't have, and I know a lot of Captain Mel's customers are people who tried it on their own and said, you know what, this is not the way to do it. Check him out online at glctraining.com. That's glctraining.com. And keep in mind, this isn't just for fishing charters. Dive boats, sailing excursions, tow boats, anything on the water where you're going to take people out for hire, you need to be licensed. glctraining.com is the website, glctraining.com. While you're online, of course, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and KillerFoodPlots.com. KillerFoodPlots.com, the website of Michigan-based, family-owned Killer Food Plots, owned by Nick Percy, who's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, welcome back.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am doing great. I feel like I've been very busy, but I have a feeling that I haven't been as busy as you are.
Well, yeah, it's definitely been busy this summer, so the spring and summer. We just got back from a trip out to Missouri and Kansas to meet with the guys from Outback Outdoors and one of our outfitters in Missouri and get a bunch of food plots put in. And so, yeah, we rolled in Monday morning pretty early in the morning, took a nap, and got back up at it because we got a lot of projects going on still here in Michigan and abroad.
Well, I think, before I started working with you, I didn't realize you were doing work out west, too. Yeah,
we go Colorado, Dakotas. It just depends on, what's going on with our clients and what they need, so where we are in the status of projects.
Well, what about back here in Michigan right now? How is Mother Nature cooperating? Much of the state had been in a pretty, I don't want to say drought, but real dry before we got kind of a big rain last week. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. The month of July is a tough month anyway. Normally this is when we hit the drought versus the rain that we're starting to see, which is a huge blessing. I'm trying to do the rain dance at the end of every job, but Mother Nature just doesn't really cooperate, hasn't been cooperating. But it was nice to get that rain last week. Hopefully we have some continued moisture today. We're in Ferrysburg, Michigan, which is kind of over by Grand Haven, Spring Lake, just over the dune from Lake Michigan. We have a big project that we've been working on. This is year 2 of this project, so definitely has its challenges, not only from a moisture standpoint, in this case, too much moisture. So, we put a 40-acre drain tile system in here with a pump to pump water off of this ground because it's so wet. So
I wonder, too, or I guess I would think, that close to the lake, you've got your own little micro environment right there, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And like I said, this property seems to be the sponge for everything from Grand Haven, Spring Lake, just kind of pours down this way. And this, at one point last fall, after I had planted it for the 6th time, I said to the owner, I said, you might want to put away your deer hunting gear and pull out your duck and geese gear. So, because we had lakes and thousands of ducks and geese.
Wow.
So, but a duck hunter and goose hunter's dream to be here. So,
well, in general, then, Nick, should we being the rest of us across the state, should we hold off for a couple of weeks on putting in a food plot, or is it okay right now?
Well, so here are the challenges that you're going to face if you try to put a food plot in July. July is the month of weeds and grass, as if you haven't had enough already this year.
Yeah.
July seems to be the month where Mother Nature unleashes her wrath of those two things. So when you turn the ground, you're more likely to have germination of nasty weeds like pigweed and ragweed and other things like that will take over your food plot, and you'll become frustrated, and or you'll just have to plan to spray pesticide or spray chemicals on the plot. So plant accordingly, something that you can go ahead and address both grass and weeds without killing your food plot. Otherwise, I would always advise to wait till that last weekend in July or first part of August, or any time during the month of August, to plant your fall food plot.
Well, Nick, when you do this rain dance, can you have Tracy come over and get it on camera? I'd love to post it online.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't be pretty. It would not be pretty, but you might not even recognize me as covered up in dust and dirt.
Hey, whatever works. Whatever works, right?
My shirt. Yeah.
All right, Nick. Let's keep up the good work and try to get some rest during this little bit of a slow time. The website killerfoodplots.com. By the way, next week we will do another Killer Food Plots podcast, where we'll go much more in depth about this whole process of food plotting, and that, of course, will be with Nick Percy. The website for Killer Food Plots, killerfoodplots.com. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. From there, you can get to all the social media outlets and all that good stuff. And if you want to send me an email, it's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, something everybody needs, a good knife in your pocket. Kris Duerson of Rapid River Knifeworks will join us.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, though not as big as I used to be. Mike Avery, welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. This is hour number 2 of the radio show, and this is I say this every week, at least I intend to. First and foremost, this is a radio show designed, scheduled, recorded, produced as a radio show intended to be heard on your local AM or FM station. And I say the best way to listen, if you can, is on your local station, because there, it's more of a homey feel. You get your local news, weather, sports. Maybe there's even an ad or a commercial or something you want to take advantage of. So that's the best way to listen if you can. But if you can't, I got you covered. If your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, you can always hear the podcast version of the show. The podcast version of the show is nothing more than the audio from the radio show made available somewhere else, somewhere online, through your computer, your laptop, your phone, whatever. And there are plenty of ways to listen. Probably the best place to start, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. MikeAveryOutdoors.com, kind of the clearinghouse for all things outdoor magazine radio, and MikeAveryOutdoors.com, or Mike Avery Outdoors. You can go right to the Facebook page, Mike Avery Outdoors on Facebook. I post it there every Sunday afternoon at 6. It goes up on my Twitter feed, my Avery Outdoors Twitter feed. I put it up on LinkedIn, on iTunes, on Google Play, on iHeart, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Radio.com. I even put a version of the Outdoor Magazine podcast out there on YouTube. I know it doesn't make any sense, does it? YouTube is for video, and this is an audio program, but I put it on YouTube as well. So there are lots and lots of ways to hear the podcast version of the show, regardless of how you are listening, broadcast or podcast. Thank you. The fact that you can hear my voice right now means a lot to me. There are a lot of different media sources you could be consuming right now, a lot of different things you could be doing with your day, and the fact that you're spending part of your time with me certainly means a lot. When you think about tools that we need on a day-to-day basis, not just in the outdoors, but obviously this is the Outdoor Magazine show, so I'm thinking hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping, but just your day-to-day world. All right, you got your cell phone. That's a big deal. You want that. You got your watch. You need that. What else do you carry? Well, I know what some of you carry. But what do we all carry too? A knife. You got to have a knife. A good knife is like one of the basic tools of life. I don't care if you're using it to skin an animal or to open an envelope. You want a good knife. Kris Duerson is a guy who knows good knives. He's with the Rapid River Knifeworks. And he joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Kris, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are things in beautiful Rapid River?
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day here today. We had a big storm system come through the last couple of days and doused us with some much needed rain, and now we're looking at high 80s, maybe 90 today. Beautiful weather up there right now.
Good deal. And listen, how are you seeing crowds? Are you seeing people? How's the whole COVID thing affected your part of the state?
Once they reopened the state campgrounds, federal forest campgrounds, our retail traffic picked up tremendously. People were bottled up in their homes for 3 months and with nowhere to go. And once they reopened a lot of the smaller sections of the UP destinations, and people were able to travel, they certainly did, and which was very good for us, because our factory showroom is a destination for thousands of people in Michigan and around the Midwest, and people were very happy to see us be able to reopen our factory showroom.
Tell me more about that. I've seen it online. I haven't seen it in person yet, but it looks like a beautiful place.
Yeah, so when I 2 years ago, well, actually 3 years ago now, I decided that I needed to either expand the factory showroom or just keep it small and keep it the way it was. But we're always looking for ways to grow the business and make it better. And so we added 6,000 square feet to our existing retail store and created an actual knife experience and an outdoor experience. People can walk into the factory store and watch the knives being made right in front of them. They can watch all the knives being laser engraved. You can pick out a knife and watch it being made right in front of you. And then we do free laser engraving on all of our knives so that you can stand there and watch them being laser engraved. And then we've got, over 250 taxidermy mounts in the store, which people they really get a kick out of. The kids really like it, and it gives them a chance to see things that they normally would probably never get a chance to see up close and personal, from big brown bears to, we have a 260-pound woolly mammoth tusk in the store, which is pretty neat. And those are things that I wanted to create more of an experience than just here's what we have, what do you want to buy type of store. And people really enjoy it. They spend a lot of time in here.
Actually, it sounds really cool, and it sounds like it would be a great spot to do a Wednesday night live some nights, so folks can really get a look at this.
It would be fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's work on doing something like that.
The whole retail store itself is just shy of 12,000 square feet, and it's primarily all knives, but we carry a lot of other American-made goods. We're a Stormy Cromer dealer, and then we just became the factory store for Iverson snowshoes, which has kind of been on and off the map for a while, but they're back and running again and building a beautiful product. And they came to me and wanted a place with a lot of traffic and good exposure, and we worked out a deal to where we're the Iverson snowshoe outlet in the Upper Peninsula. So
yeah, good for you.
There's
good for
more
you.
than just knives.
Chris, there are a lot of knife makers out there. What sets you guys at Rapid River apart from the rest of them?
Well, we a lot of people start the knife making process thinking that it's it's going to be easy, and it's not. I started this company 20 years ago after working at Marbles for 4 years, and you have to build a very high quality knife. The knife industry is very competitive, and a lot of people don't know what they're buying when they're buying it. And our knives are all made of very high quality American tool steel, and backed with 110% lifetime warranty in several different ways. So I know you love to fish, so you go out and you go fishing and you fillet 100 fish. If you're not happy with your edge or the way your knife looks when you're done with it for the season, or if you want to send it back 3 times, it doesn't matter. You can mail it to us anytime you want. We sharpen and polish it and recondition it 100%.
Wow.
Free for life, as many times as you want. And we stand behind our products. If somebody comes in and they have a problem with their knife, it's fixed or it's broke, and we can't fix it for one reason or another, we just give them a brand new one. And that type of customer service just doesn't exist anymore.
What if I broke the tip using the stupid thing as a screwdriver instead of a knife?
Well, that's funny you ask that. I have people that come in that try to lie to me and tell me that they did that, and they dropped it in their lawn and the tip broke off. And I'll tell them specifically, if you tell me the truth, I'll either regrind your blade right on the spot, or we'll give you a new knife. And then they tend to fess up immediately. That kind of stuff happens, and we understand that, and it doesn't happen too often. It takes quite a bit, to break one of our big heavy duty, our skinning and hunting knives. But if it does happen, 9 times out of 10, they leave with a new knife, and it's just kind of a no questions asked warranty.
If you use a knife the way it's designed to, you should be able to get your lifetime and pass it down for generations, shouldn't you?
Absolutely. I mean, these are built as heirlooms. I mean, they're if you take good care of your knife, like people ask me how to take care of them if they get wet, if they get this or that. Well, I say, well, how do you take care of your deer rifle? If you go out in the woods and it's raining and you get it wet, do you put it back in its case, soaking wet, or do you wipe it off and oil it? And a knife is the same way. There's not much work involved in it to keep it good. You really don't want your edge to rust. Once your edge rusts, then you start having problems. And so it's just maintenance, easy maintenance. Clean it, oil it, and just take care of it. And then, like I said before, when you finally want that thing repolished or sharpened or anything else, you can bring it into our store, and it's a 5-minute job. And if you want to mail it, we get knives every day from all over the world that are sent to be reconditioned. We do them the day we get them and send them back.
We're talking with Kris Duerson of Rapid River Knifeworks. The website, rapidriverknifeworks.us. Rapidriverknifeworks.us. I've got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk more with Kris about the edge of a knife. What angle do you use? How do you keep a knife sharp? What's the best way? And how important is the steel? If it's too soft, it's easy to sharpen, but it won't keep an edge, and vice versa. Well, Kris Duerson is the man when it comes to everything knives, and I'll pick his brain after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY, AM and FM, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Super Talk 1570, WWCK. And you can hear us, let's go north of the bridge. Just go to Newberry, WNBY, 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by MUCC's On the Ground program. OTG is a program to improve habitat for fish and wildlife across the state. For details, check out the Michigan United Conservation Club's website, mucc.org. That's mucc.org. While you're there on that website, if you want to save 25%, use the promo code Mike, all caps, MIKE, to save 25% on your MUCC membership. I was working with MUCC last weekend at the Bay City State Recreation Area for their On the Water program. That was a lot of fun. And coming up here in a few minutes, Nick Green of MUCC is going to join us with an update on the tribal negotiations regarding commercial fishing and the 2020 consent decree. They haven't been able to say anything to this point, but now the gag order is off and he can talk, and I'm looking forward to that. First, though, looking forward to wrapping up my conversation with Kris Duerson of Rapid River Knifeworks, the website rapidriverknifeworks.us. Kris, how important is the steel in your knives? Because as I was saying before the break, if you go with something too soft, you can sharpen it, but it's not going to hold an edge very long.
Yeah, you can make a knife as pretty as you want to make it, but if you don't start with really good steel, you're going to be frustrated almost immediately. So we use primarily all tool steels, A2 and D2, which there are thousands of tool and die makers in Michigan alone that know how good that steel is. And you have to heat treat it properly, because if it, like you said, if it's too soft, you roll your edge over and you create the big burr on the edge, and that gives you a lot less edge life. So what happens is when you're too soft, the edge of your blade is full of little tiny microscopic air pockets. And when you open an air pocket in your edge, you create a burr. Everybody always talks about, I have a burr on the edge of my blade, or it feels a little rough. Mm-hmm. If you start with good steel and you heat treat it properly, the best way to maintain that knife is to strop it occasionally on a piece of leather, on a belt, even denim jeans works really well. Just strop it back and forth and break off that little tiny microscopic burr that might be forming on your edge. If you do it often enough, you won't get the huge burr that breaks off, and then you have a round, completely rounded edge that then at that point needs to be completely reground. So it goes back to the barbers that they use the straight razors. They sit there all day long and they strop their straight razors on their strops, and that's to keep the burr off of the edge and to keep it crisp.
When you strop a blade, do you go edge first, or do you pull it away from the edge?
I pull it away.
Okay.
The main thing is that whether you're pulling it or you're pushing it, when you push it away or pull it, you snap it towards you to break that little burr off the edge of the blade. And most people that do that try that, are surprised as to how much longer their edge actually lasts before they have to take to any type of sharpening device or mail it back to have it reconditioned. If you do it right with one of our hunting knives, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to get 15 to 20 whitetail out of a knife before you need to send it to me.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What angle should we put on a knife when we put the edge on?
There's a lot of opinions on that, but my opinion is if you grind the blade too thin, if you're 20 degrees or less, you're the second you hit a bone or something hard, you're going to roll your edge over. So we hand grind everything we do everything's done by hand and by eye and by just practice on literally hundreds of thousands of blades. But typically it's about a 30-degree edge angle on both sides. I call it a utility edge. It gives you more edge life, and it prevents that rolling of the edge. If you were to be, say, field dressing a deer or filleting a fish and you hit a bone with it, you don't instantly roll your edge over. So we like to go with around 30. That tends to be the most popular. I think it's worked well for us for 20 years, and our customers seem to really love it. So that's what we stick to. Now, certain knives are different. Your fillet knives are a little bit thinner, a little bit narrower, closer to 25. And then some of our bigger, thicker bushcraft style hunting knives they're a little bit heavier than that. So it really comes down to the knife and what you're going to be using it for, and we'll custom grind it actually to however you want it. If you have an actual specific use that's different for what it was intended for.
I've seen video of you putting an edge on a knife just by hand and just by feel. It's pretty impressive.
It takes a lot of practice. Those videos. There's 20 years of practice into that, and I've ruined a lot of things. I can. And it's just practice and a lot of time. Sharpening a knife is a long lost art.
Yes,
typically
absolutely.
The only people that can really do it are your butchers and people that absolutely rely on a knife every day to make a living. And what I found is people are getting increasingly frustrated with. They'll bring in a knife and they'll say, I can't keep an edge on this, or I can't keep it sharp. And first of all, they started with the wrong steel. They don't know how to sharpen it. Whetstones are extremely difficult because if you don't hold the same angle on both sides when you're sharpening it, which you're doing it freehand on a whetstone, you could be there all day and you could just be rolling your edge back and forth. So it's a true art. It really is. It's very difficult to do. But with practice, it can be done. That's why you want to maintain your edge as you go so you don't have to get it to that point.
Yeah, my dad, I think I've told you this before, was a master with a whetstone. And it's an art that I've never been able to really feel accomplished at. But, what about
some guys can sit down with one and in 5 minutes have it just perfect, and other people they'll say, man, I mess with this all weekend at deer camp, and it's worse now than it was before.
Yeah,
and it really is an art, and there's a science behind it.
What about some of these devices like a Lansky or something like that, designed to help you keep a consistent angle? Are they worth it?
Well, it depends on how much time you want to spend on your edge. They work, but a Lansky system could take you a couple hours, realistically, to do it right. I've been selling a sharpener for 20 years that it literally, when you get to you shouldn't even be sharpening in your knife, grinding it until you've lost your angles. And this thing, you literally slide it through 2 carbides that are at a set angle so that it's the same on both sides. You drag it through 4 or 5 times, and then you just drop it on a piece of leather or denim. Sometimes cardboard works. And you take that little final burr off of there, and you're back in business. But there's a lot of gimmicks out there too. I mean, I'm against the motorized ones with the stone wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you slow down a little bit while you're pulling it through there, it chatters your edge, and it's really rough and rigid, and you're back to square one. So it's tough. Strap that knife on leather, and find something with a fixed angle for both sides of that blade to pull it through.
What is the ideal, if there is such a thing, ideal size for a knife? And I ask this because I see a lot of guys in deer camp carrying knives that I think, man, that thing looks like a Bowie knife. What do you expect to do with that? My skinning knife is just a little 6-inch knife, I think. And I've always wondered, what's the best way to go?
Yeah, well, I get a kick out of that. I get a lot of people that look, especially during our hunting season, they'll come up and they'll hold their hands out and they'll say, I'm looking for a hunting knife. Well, the distance between their fingers, it's like they're looking for a Bowie knife.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know if you've ever really field dressed a deer. Our most popular sizes for whitetail and even big game, right up to brown bear, I mean, it's a 3-inch blade because you're really only using the last inch of your blade for everything. And for me, the longer the blade, the more it just gets in the way. So our primary line of hunting knives are from 3 to 5 inches cutting edge. And not any longer than that unless somebody custom orders something specifically longer. But people tend to like smaller knives, practical knives. So that's the way we go. The 3-inch blade has been our best seller for 20 years.
Real quick, Kris, before we got to let you go, I think the knife that most people are going to carry every day is going to be what I used to call a jackknife. We call them folding knives now. You guys make those too, don't you?
We do, yeah, we do. We sell our folding knives probably 5 to 1 over our fixed blade knives in the summer, and then come fall we get into more of the fixed blade hunting crowd that's looking for a good hunting knife. But yes, we do make a big line of folders. They're very popular. They come in thousands of different handle options, and we have a lot of them. We sell a lot of them. They're very popular.
Kris, if folks can't make it to your showroom in Rapid River, can they go to the website rapidriverknifeworks.us and buy online?
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll if you get on there, you'll see several thousand different knives, options, handle materials, a lot of stuff. There's a lot. It's a very good website, very informative. Even if somebody's just looking to see how to sharpen a knife, and even if it's not ours, very informative website, a lot of options, and yes, we've got a couple thousand knives on there right now.
Kris, listen, it's been a pleasure. I hope to get up and see you soon, and I hope I will be talking with you again soon. The website, rapidriverknifeworks.us, rapidriverknifeworks.us. Thank you, Kris.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great day.
You as well. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Nick Green of MUCC checks in with an update, the long-awaited news on what is the progress, if any, with the consent decree negotiations with the tribes over commercial fishing, maybe and more. I don't know. Maybe it's all inclusive. Nick will fill us in on that after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Saginaw on WSGW FM 100.5. And you can hear us in Holland on WHTC AM and FM 99.7 FM 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Boning Archery. Michigan-based Boner, been a leader in the archery industry for almost 75 years. They continue to innovate. I've got somebody from Boning coming on the show next week, in fact. Looking forward to that. Talk about their product, their company, and helping us to get ready for the fall bow season and just shooting in general. Check out their products and more about the company online at Boning, Bohning, boning.com. That's boning.com. While you're online, of course, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And check out MUCC.org, the website of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs. While you're there, you can save 25% on your membership by using the promo code Mike, all caps, MIKE. I had a chance to visit with some of the folks from MUCC last weekend during an on-the-water project at the Bay City State Recreation Area. That was fun. Nick Green was with us, or was there, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, it was good to see you. Congrats on a real nice project you guys had out there that day.
Thanks, Mike. It was great to see you, and we're excited to that was our kickoff for our on-the-water season. So with COVID and all the other happenings in the world, we're happy to be able to get out there and responsibly recreate and social distance, and everyone had masks on. It was a great event. We picked up about 300 pounds of trash.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, speaking of getting back to work, you told me you've got some information to share with us on the consent decree negotiation with the tribes. Nick, I haven't heard anything about this lately. What's going on? Nick, I'm losing you. We got a really bad cell or something. I didn't hear anything of what you said. What's going on with the negotiation? A little better, not real good. Let's try it again.
So, since 1985, we've had between the tribes, the federal government, and the state of Michigan, and that is it. Kind of allocated tribal waters, recreational waters, and kind of determined what we can take in bag limits, and it has a big impact on our recreational fisheries. So the first decree was in 1985. The second consent decree was in 2000. And we, in 2020, are now negotiating our third. Things up until this point have been at kind of a standstill. So in late June, the MUCC group that MUCC is a part of, 4 of the 5 tribes, and the federal government asked for an extension to the end of the year to try to get through the negotiations that will really set up Great Lakes fishing for years to come. And the Sioux tribe in the peninsula has actually filed a motion of their own that states they only want an extension till November 8th. And after November 8th, they feel that they should have no geographic restrictions to where they can fish, and presumably no gear restrictions to how they can fish. So it's really important to note that these waters are from the mouth of the Grand River all the way up around the tip of the lower peninsula.
Nick, I'm losing you. What waters? You started to describe the waters, and I couldn't get it.
Sorry, I'm battling bad service.
I'm sorry, Nick. You're so garbled. I just can't get you at all. This is disappointing. But when we use cells, this is one of the things that happens to us. Let's try it one more time, Nick.
So the waters extend from the mouth of the Grand River up around the tip of the lower peninsula to Alpena, and then from the eastern end of the UP to about, I believe it's Marquette on Lake Superior. So These are the waters that the tribal fishers are generally in and fishing. Since 1985, there's been pretty severe limitations on where they are able to use gill nets. If this were opened up, gill nets could be placed in places that they haven't been since 1985. And for those of you old enough to maybe remember what that means, is they're extremely efficient at catching fish, and they're lethal to any fish that swim through them. So this is troubling, and it's a very multifaceted issue. I think it's something like we could talk about numerous shows as we kind of work through this. But I do apologize for the service, and hopefully we can talk about this again. And we need to get people engaged. We need to get people understanding what's going on. And
we did get the gist of what you're saying. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. After November 8th, the Sioux tribe wants to pretty much not have any restrictions at all. Now, they can want that, but what are the odds they're going to get it, Nick?
It really depends on a federal judge. So right now it's in front of both motions, I believe, are in front of Judge Paul Maloney in the Western District here in Michigan. That's a federal judge. It's expected that he could make some kind of ruling as early as next week. So as you can imagine, if he decides that he doesn't want to extend the decree past November 8th and he wants to oblige the Sioux tribe, then I would presume more litigation will come on behalf of the other tribes, the state, and the MUCC group, which we're a part of. But either way you look at it, I would bet that there will probably be litigation tied to this issue for a while.
All right, Nicholas, and I appreciate you bringing us up to speed and keeping an eye on this. And you're right. It is something that we will be talking about again soon and often. But if something comes up and you want to get the word out, make sure to let me know, will you?
Yep. Thank you so much, Mike.
All right. Nick Green of MUCC, MUCC.org. He is their Chief Information Officer, MUCC.org. If you want to save 25% on your MUCC membership or your renewal, go to that website, MUCC.org. Use the promo code Mike, and you can save 25%. How cool is that? We will take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, wrap up this second hour. Charlie, this is just flying. Wrap up this second hour with this week's Ask Avery segment right here on Outdoor Magazine. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. You can hear us on 29 AM and FM stations across the great state of Michigan, including WTCM in Traverse City. That's 580 AM. How about let's go to Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM. Can we go north of the bridge one more time? Yes, we can. WIAN in Ishpeming, 1240 AM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you by my friends at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. A reminder, or if you're new to the show, thank you for that, by the way. Each week I do an Ask Avery segment, and it's an opportunity for you to pose a question to me. Now, you're posing a question to the show. The question can be directly to me, as this week's is, or as we've done in past weeks. Somebody said, hey, I want to get into the DNR, or I want to, somebody in the legislature or whatever. I can't get to the right person. Maybe you can. Can you ask a question for me? So however you want to do this is fine. You can send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com with it, or post it on any of the social media outlets. But I got to be honest, I've missed a couple of questions and comments lately because there are now so many different messaging and social media apps and such that maybe the best way to go, if you can, is just send me that email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Jesse Hurt did that this week. Now, I know Jesse's from northern Michigan. I don't know anything more. And I think, Jesse, forgive me, I think Jesse's a guy, but I don't know for sure. But Jesse says, Mike, I know for a lot of years you did an outdoor television show, and I remember seeing your shows where you were kind of traveling the world. What is the coolest thing you've ever done, or the coolest place you've ever been? Now, that is an interesting question, Jesse. Yeah, back when I had the TV show, I did do a fair amount of traveling, not like, some of these shows do. But I mean, I had the opportunity to go marlin fishing in Cabo San Lucas off the tip of the Baja Peninsula. South of the border, we went dove hunting in Mexico. I've been to Alaska, to Kodiak Island, which was very, very cool. I've been to Quebec, Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario. I think that's it. And of course, I've been to Africa twice. And then all across Michigan and across much of the United States. So yeah, the TV show really did afford me the opportunity to go some cool places and do some cool things. And it was just that camera. It was just a TV show. I mean, I could give people exposure, and so they wanted to take advantage of that. And the benefit, the blessing was I got to go these places. The coolest place I've ever been. Africa, the first time, was pretty awe-inspiring. When you're sitting in a blind with a bow in your hand over a water hole and a zebra walks in, or a wildebeest walks in, or a giraffe walks in, that's pretty impressive. That really makes you realize, okay, I'm not in Michigan anymore. Those are the types of things that you see on TV, but you don't expect you're ever going to get to do it in person. So Africa was... it was pretty special. I have no desire to go back, I'll be honest with you. I've been there twice. I've done it. It's off the bucket list. Been there, done that. But it's pretty neat. When I think about scenery and majesty and just overall grandeur, Kodiak Island wins hands down. The absolute most beautiful, rugged, impressive place I've ever been in my life. We were up there with a big group. Unfortunately, on that trip, we had an outfitter that was less than reputable. In fact, my second trip to Kodiak Island, I was called back to testify against the outfitter. I got a call from the Alaska DNR. Mr. Avery, yes. You were recently in our state, yes. We need you back here, and this is like a Thursday. We need you back here Monday on Kodiak Island to testify in court against your outfitters. I'm like, I can't do it. My son's getting married this weekend. I can't come. I can't do it. They said, you'll do it. And if you don't, we will have a local judge there issue you a bench warrant, and you'll be put on a plane. In Alaska, they take fish and game violations very seriously. So, but even with an outfitter who was an absolute clown, we had the company was great, and it was such a beautiful place. I mean, when you're on the water at a place like this, we would go around a bend of the ocean. It's not a bend. What would you call it? A bluff. And I looked at it, and I said, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. You go another few miles, go around another bluff. Oh my gosh, this is even more breathtaking. So Kodiak Island was absolutely amazing. Would I want to live in Kodiak? No. Would I want to live in Africa? No. Would I want to live in Canada? No. Would I want to live in Mexico? No. Any of the western states? No. I want to live here in Michigan. When I look at my truly most gratifying hunts, I was with my grandson Trent when he killed his first spike buck with a crossbow. I was sitting over his shoulder. That was wonderful. Fishing salmon with my dad on Lake Michigan. Those are the types of outdoor experiences I remember. So you don't have to go to exotic places to have a great outdoor adventure. These days, I'm here in Michigan. It's where I want to be. An occasional trip to Ontario, maybe Quebec, and I'm fine with that. We live in a beautiful state with some great natural resources, and this is where I want to be. Thank you to the folks at Security Credit Union for sponsoring the outdoor, this week's Ask Avery segment. Check them out online at securitycu.org, securitycu.org. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're heading to Lake Michigan with Captain Dave Engel.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, and glad to have you along with us as we are truly right now in the heart of summertime. And it's been an interesting summer, hasn't it? In fact, it's been an interesting year. I've heard 2020 described as the year that we're going to be glad to forget about. But there are a lot of good things going on, right? I mean, if you get outdoors, that's what I keep going back to. Get outdoors. Get on a boat. Get on the water. Get out in the woods. Cleanse your soul. Breathe some fresh air. Feel the wind on the back of your neck. Maybe get caught in a rainstorm. Something to bring your senses back to life. To get away from the digital world, to get away from the computer world, the world of high technology, which I love. But nothing beats getting outside And getting back to the basics, I grew up in a hunting and fishing family in West Michigan, northern Kent County. And this is all I've ever known. You know, started out, of course, hunting for rabbits and squirrels like a lot of kids did back then, and then graduated to pheasants, then got into deer hunting. You had to be 14 to hunt deer back then. We didn't have any turkeys. I never dreamed of bear hunting, never dreamed of elk hunting. And got into, and grew up fishing Cedar Creek. I know it's creek. I'm going to call it Cedar Creek till I die. For a little 7-inch brook trout. And I thought I was on the most wonderful adventure. I got hip boots on with a split shot and a hook and a night crawler. Working my way along the banks of the river, fighting the mosquitoes, trying not to fall in the mud, the quicksand we called it. Eventually graduated to fishing Lake Michigan salmon. My first fishing trip on Lake Michigan was in 1968 out of Manistee, and we have pictures from that. But I remember it was a ski boat. We were using braided line and flatfish because that's all anybody knew. But that kind of planted the seed with me and planted the seed with my dad. He became a very avid, very good Lake Michigan salmon fisherman. And for many, many years, that's what we did. Every weekend and every vacation. We'd start in Muskegon, we'd go to Ludington, and then Manistee, and then Frankfort. And then I got hit by the walleye bug. But and these days, that's where I spend my time, fishing Saginaw Bay walleye on the Angler Quest. But I really do, I miss fishing salmon in Lake Michigan. I don't have somehow it wouldn't feel right doing it without my dad, and I don't know if that makes sense or not, but the idea of going out there and chasing kings on Lake Michigan is very appealing to me. Dave Engel is a guy who's spent his entire life out in the big water. These days, you'll find him at the helm. Best Chance Charters, bestchance2.com is the website, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Dave, welcome back. It's been a while. How have you been?
I've been great, Mike. Yep.
Catching fish, I'm sure.
I actually told my customers this morning that I had to be done in time to do this radio show.
Well, but you probably still caught a few anyway.
Well, we actually caught a limit.
So don't talk to me about coming out for the radio show. You came out because you had a full box.
You got it. Fishing's good, Mike. It really is. Fishing's been good here. We've been doing well. It's been a great year for fishing. It's been an interesting year for customers.
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
You know, I've had more new customers this year than I've had in the last 20 years, probably.
Now, why do you think that is?
Well, the corporate world is not fishing, and that was where I was real deep in.
Uh-huh.
So, and they aren't taking people out. So we have more openings than I've had in a long time. We got a lot of everybody's not traveling abroad; they're kind of traveling locally, and they're coming to the lake and going swimming and going fishing. Hunter and I have been very busy taking people, and it's been interesting. Everybody's been, being safe, and we mask up, take temperatures, do all the right things. And fishing's really good. When you come in with a box full, there's a bunch of people standing around, and somebody wants to go tomorrow or the next day. So it's been interesting.
Now, Hunter, that you mentioned, that's your son. He's also a captain. Is he running the second boat? Isn't he?
Right. He actually runs the old family boat. It's called Best Chance. I'm Best Chance too, and you don't want to stub your toe very much, or he's back at the dock before you are.
Well, isn't that wonderful? And you come from a fishing family, but if I remember right, your roots are actually in commercial fishing.
Yeah, my dad and my grandfather ran a fish market here in town, and then when my generation came along, if you wanted to fish, you had to sport fish. I actually remember I told my father that I wanted to borrow some money to buy a boat and start charter fishing. He said, I'll loan you $20 to get your head examined if you think people are going to pay you to go fishing out there. Yeah, they hated the sport fishermen, the commercial fishermen did, because they put them out of business.
Yeah. Well, and listen, let's talk about this for a second. Over the years, there's been a lot of animosity going back and forth between both groups both ways.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. What's interesting is, coming from that background, people think you just put a net out and you catch a lot of fish. It doesn't really work that way. You got to know how to set it in, what currents, what you're after, what size mesh, get the fish out of the net. It was really, really hard. Matter of fact, my grandfather hurt his back lifting the transmission out of one of the fish tugs, and he was never right again. Those guys, they didn't make a lot of money, and you'll never meet a rich charter boat captain. You do it for the love of the sport.
And why, after all of these years, do you still love it? In the summertime, this time of year, at least in a good year, you're running doubles, you're getting up, you're not getting enough sleep, you're just you're burning the candle at both ends. Why are you still out there, Dave?
Well, obviously for the love of the sport. When we were shut down in the spring of the year, when it was really good, the month of May is killer for the big kings. It's kind of gone from the August thing to the May thing for us, especially in the southern part of the lake. And we were going every day anyhow. And my wife said, a lady said to me the other day, she goes, you just have that passion that most people don't have about their job. And I guess that's true. We just like to fish. My brother and I, we're going walleye fishing or bluegill fishing, or we've been perch fishing. The lake perch are back, Mike.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've had some really nice catches of lake perch, really from Saugatuck south. I haven't heard much north of here. But St. Joe area has kind of been the hot spot. It's 25 now. But the size, they're the true jumbos. Average fish is about 11 inches. My brother said he was going to throw one back the other day, and he said, I think I'll measure. He measured it was 8.5 inches. I'm going, yeah, that's kind of the best ones to eat, quite frankly. But we only had one that size. They're all 10 to 12 inches. They're really nice.
Wow. Perch is that one fish that when they're biting, they'll stop trolling for kings. They'll put the walleye gear away, whatever. If the perch are biting, that's what people are going to be fishing.
Yeah, and the interesting part, Saugatuck was well known for the rocks. Saugatuck to South Haven was the perch capital, of the Great Lakes, really. I mean, we always had perch. Well, when the gobies come along, zebras hurt at first. It just took the population down. But then when the gobies showed up, we couldn't fish on the rocks. All we caught were gobies. You couldn't get at the bottom. You caught a goby. Well, what's interesting now is the most of the fish that we catch have gobies in them, small black gobies. So, yeah, the gobies have kind of choked themselves out. The perch are back, and they're eating them, and they're growing big, and they got lots of food. So it's a finesse fishing. It's not a no-brainer, like when we used to go out and catch 100 per man, in a few hours. You got to work at it, but it's still a hook and a sinker and a minnow thing.
What do you mean you got to work at it? I mean, tell me more about that. Is it's not the old traditional perch spreader, perch rig?
You can get away with that, but we're using fluorocarbon. We're using light line. Depending on the current, you're adjusting the weight for the different currents. We get strong south current when the water's warming up. We get strong north current when the water's cooling down. But the biggest thing that we're doing different, Mike, that we could never do before, we would go out, throw an anchor out over a given area, and that's where you fish. And you'd swing around and you'd catch them. Yeah. If you do that now, you could sit there all day and catch 4 perch. We have these Minn Kota trolling motors mounted on these big boats, and you move around, and we kind of find the gravels, what we like to find instead of the big hard rock. And we find a located school, and you catch them real fast for a while, and maybe the school moves off, so you move off with it. But if you throw an anchor, you see those fish, you throw an anchor, you're gone. I mean, you're too far from it. Huh. With this spot lock from Minn Kota, you just sit there. You never move. You're right over the top.
But you're not putting a bow mount on your big charter boat. You must be talking a smaller boat.
We're using, right. I have what I call my Bahama boat or Florida boat. We have a 27-foot sea hunt off. It's an offshore twin.
Gotcha.
And we're using that. My brother has a Starcraft, and so it's really turned into a smaller boat thing. It's tough to just anchor because you're just not over the fish long enough to really do any damage, and we're getting our 100 fish or 75 fish or 50 fish when we go. So
wow. Hang tight, Dave. That's very exciting. Hang tight, though, Dave. I got to take a break. We're talking with Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance Charters, Best Chance 2, TOO, bestchance2.com is the website. Man, you start talking about jumbos, people get excited. Well, we'll talk about other jumbos, Jumbo Kings, after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. You know, you can hear the show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS, a blowtorch, powerful station. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS, 1320 AM, 98.5 UPS. And then in Leadington, WLDN, News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Wilds Plumbing and Heating. From plumbing, heating, air conditioning, cooling, sump pumps, cleaning ductwork, you name it. Everything to keep you warm or cool, depending on the season, dry and comfortable in your house. The folks at Wilds can take care of it. In fact, I just was texting during the break here. I think Rosie, we call him Rosie, from Wilds, I think is going fishing with me tomorrow night. So when you get the guys from Wilds in your house, be prepared if you want to talk a little hunting and fishing too, because a lot of them love to do that. Check them out online at wildsplumbingandheating.com. That's wildsplumbingandheating.com. And if you want to talk fishing, Dave Engel is a great guy to talk with. He's been on the Lake Michigan. He's been in the water since he was a kid. Grew up in a commercial fishing family. These days, running the Best Chance 2, bestchance2.com. Dave, you got my excitement level up there about perch, but does anybody run perch charters? I mean, the old perch party boats aren't even in existence anymore, are they? Did we lose him, Charlie? Do we have to call him back, Charlie? I think we got to call him back. All right, Charlie Rood is in the studio with me. Rapidly. You should have seen his eyes. They went, oops, like a cartoon. Oops. Now he's on the phone. You can probably hear him dialing in the background. Dave Engel. We'll get back in touch with Dave. I want to talk with him. Well, first of all, May. He mentioned that May has now become the big month for kings as opposed to August. Why is that? If he was at a port that was further to the north, would that make a difference? Is it because the fish are migrating from the southern part of the state up to the northern part of the state? Is that what it is? And why is it these days? I think I know what the answer. Zebra mussels and water clarity. It used to be you could go out there with a couple of downriggers and dipsy divers, and you were styling. These days, the charter boats I see don't have a full regiment of. There we go. Hey, Dave, sorry about that. Glad you're back with us. You mentioned before the break that May is now the hot month for kings as opposed to August. Why is that?
Well, you know, they always used to stack up in front of the piers and find their way back home and that. But the month of May in the southern part of the lake, they just come out of that winter dormancy and they are on the feed. And, you know, we fish from Michigan City all the way back up to Grand Haven that for those from middle of April to the first part of June. And it's pretty much king on. I mean, we caught limit catches of 20 to 30 kings at a time. And what we've noticed in the last couple of years, especially this year, the size. There are some really nice big kings. The average king out there is 22, 24 pounds right now. You know, those were 12, 14 pounders 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. The size is really back. A lot of 25-pound kings every day. We get one like that. You know, that used to be the biggest one for the year for a few years.
Well, the DNR took a lot of heat a couple of years ago when they cut back on the stocking program, but maybe in retrospect that was actually a good move.
Well, there was no doubt. They gave us a model, Mike, that showed what happened in Lake Huron, and they said, if we don't do something, this is where you're going to be in 10 years. And 10 years ago, this is where we told you were going to be, and guess what? This is where you're at. So they absolutely made the right call on this. And, you know, if you ask the average guy, you know, you want to catch more fish or bigger fish? Well, you know the answer to that. You know, everybody would, you know, quite frankly, we're getting a limit of lake trout, a couple coho, a couple steelhead, and a couple really big kings most of the summer trips. And it's been that way for a few years. And we'll have some days here in August when the water cools down that we have some, but it's a little more unpredictable, and it doesn't last, you know, it's a couple week thing instead of a 6 or 8 week thing into September.
You know, I was telling in the introduction in the first segment about my first experience on Lake Michigan was in a ski boat with level wind reels filled with Dacron and trolling flatfish. Then it got to the point where we were running downriggers, and if you were really adventurous, you ran a few dipsies, but you caught all the fish you wanted. These days, when I look at the back of these charter boats, I don't even see that many downriggers anymore. What are you guys running these days, Dave?
Well, we run 3 downriggers, depending on the depths and things like that. But you're right, alternative techniques, divers, wire divers, cut the water and get down, copper lines that get down and out and away. And, big spreads are the norm, are the new norm. That is one of the faults with our fishery. It's an equipment-intense sport. I mean, you need a lot of equipment, and it's always changing. And unless you're doing it a lot, the current's got you tangled up and, things. So we get a lot of charter guys, especially elderly people, that had their boat, just like you're talking about, did it all. And I said, I'd rather go with you for the price of what my dockage and storage is. I can go with you as many times as I went all summer anyhow, and catch fish. So it's been a kind of a win-win for the charter guys.
Well, and that's a good point. And I've always said, and even though I work with a boat company and helping them sell boats, I've always said that for most people, you are far better off to just go ahead and take a charter several times a summer. You're going to catch more fish. You're not going to work as hard. You're not going to have the expense into it. I see what you're saying. It makes complete sense.
Oh yeah, but just the opposite on this perch. That is the let's call it the working man's fish. I mean, you can go out there there's duck boats fishing by us all day long, John boats with camouflage with these little Minn Kotas, and we're out there. They're the ones that kind of tip me off. This is how you got to do it now. Mm-hmm. And it took a little while to get it for the bigger boats, but we finally got an 87-inch motor that'll fit on one of these big offshore boats that I take to the Florida and Bahamas, and it does a stellar job, for locating the fish and then sitting there and catching them. So, but it's still a hook and sinker thing. You don't need a lot of equipment. You don't need fancy rods. It's still a great sport and great to eat. I mean, you've never seen anybody that did like perch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the best fish out there. There's no doubt.
And having said that, for most people, a charter is the best option. There are still people who want to get out and use their own boat and do their own thing, which I completely respect. What advice do you have for a person these days if they are new? If they hear about these big kings, this Lake Michigan salmon fishery, they want to get out there. Where do you start? How do you need to rig? What are the basics that you should leave the port with these days?
Well, the beautiful thing, Mike, let's take the tournaments. We used to get a secret, something that worked. Let's say the copper or the wire divers or the spin doctors that we use or these spin and glows that we use for lake trout. We'd get one of these things and we'd use it most of the summer and win 2 or 3 or 5 tournaments before everybody'd find out, or only a guy or two would find. Before I get to shore, people already know how many fish I've got, what I've caught them on, how I did it, and I haven't talked to anybody. There's no doubt the internet and the communication and the Google and the people, the kids. They ruined deer camp. The kids did because we tell stories and they go Google stuff and say, no, that isn't the way it happened at all. You go, yes, it did. Uncle Bob was the smartest guy at deer camp for years till Google came along, kind of ruined it. But yeah, I mean, you just go to your local bait shops or whatever port you're out of, get on the big water guys. You got to have a couple downriggers so you can get down, and stay there. We kind of like to fish hawk. That kind of gives us the temp, tells us where the water's going to break. We look for that high 50-degree water all the way to the bottom for trout. So we go out every day and find that. But again, you can go online and look at the buoys that are out there strategically up and down the lake, and it'll give you the water temperature. So the guys showed up yesterday, start pier fishing. They use shrimp off the pier and catch these steelhead because they saw the water rolled over overnight. It used to take a couple days for everybody to know that. Now you know it in the morning when you get up and start looking on your phone.
So, why are these steelhead hitting the shrimp? There's no shrimp out there.
I know it. They actually do best on cooked those pink cooked shrimp is the best thing they do, and they use them off the pier or near the river, right down the edge. The steelhead come in there to the edge of that to get the alewives, and they'll catch live alewife with a net off the pier and stuff, and they work too. But shrimp with a bobber, it's kind of a fun thing that a lot of guys do, but it never lasts. It's a short-lived. You got to be one of the first guys there. And I was kidding with one of the young first mates was telling me how he invented steelhead fishing, and I said, do you have a Dick Swan rod? He said, I've never heard of a swan rod. I said, and then you don't know that much about steelhead fishing.
I was thinking about Dick just the other day. I worked with him for a while when he was trying to do a TV show, and I spent a lot of time on the river with him and the big lake. Sure. Boy, there's an outdoor icon, a fishing icon right there.
Oh, yeah. He wrote the book that we fish by. Absolutely.
Well, listen, you've done a little educating and writing and TV shows and radio interviews yourself over the years, Dave.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah. It's been a good ride. Part of it, we get quite a bit of our equipment is sponsored, and so as you kind of spread the word of the good equipment, the luxury of getting the really good equipment by being knowledgeable and successful and doing it all right. So, yeah, I mean, you asked before, there's a few guys like Dick that showed us things about downrigger rods and steelhead rods and things that we've incorporated into our Shimano equipment. And they actually, we just took them last fall, and they're revamping a bunch of their stuff because of the COVID, it never came out. Ah. So, we're always working on that kind of stuff. It's always new stuff coming along that's bigger, badder, better, faster, smoother, So those kind of companies are fun for us to work with. If I go to the website, bestchance2.com, can I book a trip on the water with you from that website? Hunter does that, my son, but because of I've been 41 years a captain, I kind of, I have dates that I book a year in advance, and the corporate guys go with me and stuff all the time. So I ask them to call me and talk to me. And I'm being a little more cautious with this COVID thing. I'm not taking big parties. I'm looking for smaller parties, and I like to ask a few questions. Sure. But yes, you can do that and book with. Well, and your phone number is on the website, bestchance2.com. Absolutely, pops right up. Dave Engel, always a pleasure. Let's not wait so long to talk next time. Okay, Mike. Thank you. All right, thank you, Dave Engel, a veteran charter captain, spent his entire life there on Lake Michigan. How cool is that? bestchance2, TLO, bestchance2.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, a couple things I want to talk about, and I'll work our way towards wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sandusky on WMIC. That's 660 AM. You can hear us in Mount Pleasant on WMMI AM and FM, 830 AM, 92.3 FM. You can hear us in Manistee on WMLQ, 97.7. And you can hear us on our flagship station, News Radio 790 WSGW in Saginaw. Again, never any disrespect to any of our affiliates, but I'm in the studios right now of WSGW. Of course, while I'm here, it's called the Outdoor Magazine Studio. Charlie Rood doing a wonderful job, as always, as he turns to wave to the adoring crowd. And, of course, everybody in the crowd is keeping their social distance, and they're wearing face masks, so we are very much protected. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. This week, we want to talk about lawn reinforcement. Boy, your lawn's been through a lot this summer, hasn't it? The folks in Reader can do some very timely, we're right on the beginning of this whole stage. Right now into August, some lawn reinforcement, some overseeding, some aeration to really to help it through the rest of the summer. Pools, if you're in the market for a pool, hey, it's not too late for that. And sprinklers, the mid-season check. I know our sprinklers have been working overtime, so the folks at Reader can help you out there.
And I'm going to have him come over and do some trimming of my ornamental trees here in a couple of weeks. That reminds me, I got to give him a call. Check him out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. And also, they're doing a lot of work up north these days, too. Vacation rental properties. So not just your primary home, but your weekend getaway. You want it to be nice when you get there. Readerlandscaping.com is the website. Of course, while you're online, MikeAveryOutdoors.com as well. A couple things I want to talk about. A reminder that there's a promotion continuing on right now with the folks from Forward Corporation and Michigan Brand Meats. If you buy any or 2 packs of any of the Michigan Brand Hunter Sticks, including the delicious Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, 2 packs will save you 25 cents a gallon. If you buy 4 packs, it'll save you 50 cents a gallon, and so on. That's some pretty good savings, and you're going to get some pretty good snacks to go along with it. So that's at Forward Corporation. That's going through the end of the month, if I remember. So check that out. That's a very, very deep discount. Did I mention the new state record fish? I don't know if I did this during the radio show or the live Facebook show ahead of time. 2 Michigan anglers have caught some new state record fish. Is it a king salmon? Is it a walleye? Is it a bass? No. The first one was caught by Owen C.A. of Big Rapids. He caught a 6-pound, 15-ounce, a 9-pound, 15-ounce, almost 10 pounds, quillback carp sucker in the Muskegon River. I'm not sure I would know what a quillback carp sucker looks like. But congrats. The other one, a 33-pound, 3-foot-long big-mouth buffalo by Garrett Rice. He caught that one in Lake Erie. I suspect that neither angler was targeting those fish, but still, a state record fish. How cool is that? Even a master angler fish is pretty cool, right? What else? If you want to get in touch with me, you can at any time. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's the best way to reach me. Also, I'm finding out probably the best way to get me a question for the Ask Avery segment. You can hit me up on any of the social media outlets, post it right in the Facebook page or Instagram. But if you want to be sure of reaching me and making sure I see it, send that email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I find myself thinking about fall. Now, listen, I know there's still a lot of good fishing to be had. My fishing is going to start to slow down here now, I believe, on the Inner Bay. But so far, it's been holding up pretty well. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I am starting to think about the fall. I'm lamenting the fact I can't go to White River on a bear hunt, but I'm excited about hunting near Seney in the UP with Johnny Bowler. My predator recurve. I will be sitting in a ground blind. That is my preferred method of hunting, in a ground blind. They're safe. Nobody ever fell out of a ground blind. Well, I have set them up on the side of a hill and kind of rolled out of them, but I was okay. They protect they hide your movements from the critters, and they protect you from the elements. These days, I'm a huge fan of these new see-through ground blinds, meaning you can see out, but the game can't see in. Primal Tree Stands has come up with a new one. It's called the Wraith 270. Compare it with the Primos Double Bull 270, the same size. That's the size you're looking at, but half the cost. You can get one of these things for $20 down. The total cost is going to be $200, half the cost of some of these higher priced blinds. So I'm buying a bunch of them, to be honest with you. I have posted a link on my social media outlets, or go directly to outdoorpregame.com, outdoorpregame.com. Look for the Wraith 270. Use the promo code Mike20 and get that blind for $20 now, and the remaining $180 when it ships out in about 2 weeks. And they'll ship it right to your house. I'm very excited about these. I already have 2 prototype blinds, and I've ordered 2 other blinds that I had to pay for, and I'm probably going to get 2 more. That's how much I like these things. Really excited about that. Outdoorpregame.com. Use the promo code Mike20 to get a new Primal Wraith 270 see-through blind for $200, $20 down, and the rest of it when they ship it. You will not find a better deal on a better blind. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar. I don't know what kind of recipe Dave has, but I bet you it will be good. We'll find out after the break. Stick around. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. You know this deep in your heart and deep in your soul that I like to wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar. Now, sometimes, maybe even oftentimes, I have an idea of what Dave is going to cook up for us. This week, Charlie started to tell me. I said, don't tell me, Charlie. I don't want to know. I want Dave to spring the surprise on me. David, welcome back. How are you?
Good. How about a guess? What do you think we'll do today, Mike?
Well, this week's segment, what will Dave cook up? Fish, I'm going to say. Am I right?
Okay, you
Fish.
got it.
Walleye.
No.
What?
Either steelhead, cohort, or small king.
Actually, that works out very well. Thank you for that, because I just got off the phone with Captain Dave Engel, who's been fishing Lake Michigan. So your intuition is perfect, my friend.
Did he have a fish on when you were talking to him?
No, he was already back at shore with a limit catch.
Wow. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is going to be a stuffed fish, and it's going to be in a puff pastry. It's kind of like a Wellington. We've done venison Wellington in the past, and we've done salmon, but this is a different way to do it. You need about a 1.5 to 2 pound, either a small steelhead or a coho or a king. And in the past, we've talked about how to bone the fish from the inside out with a sharp knife, and you get rid of all of that rib cage. So the only thing you're going to have is a real nice package of meat. And scale the fish really, really well, or you can actually skin them if you like. You want to take about half the tail off. You want to make sure that the gills are out of this, too, because you're going to stuff it. You're going to need a baking sheet about the same size as the fish, even if you got to lay it diagonal to make it work. You need 1 package of puff pastry, frozen. It comes in 2 sheets. You want to defrost it out and let it sit at room temperature for a while. 1 beaten up egg, a splash of lemon, a medium onion diced fine, a nice large red pepper, bell pepper diced up fine, anywhere from 2 to 4 cloves of garlic, depending on how much you and your family enjoy the garlic. Fresh grated pepper, of course. You need at least 1 bag of baby spinach with the stems removed. And for a larger fish, you might want to go to 2 bags, okay? You need between 1/2 a cup and 3/4 of a cup of whatever kind of cheese you like, whether it's Swiss or cheddar or Munster or something like that, shredded. A little bit of flour. And then you're going to need, say you want to start off with about 1/2 a cup of water, the onions, the garlic, and the peppers. And you want to cook them slowly to kind of soften them up. It only is going to take 3 or 4 minutes, okay? Then you want to add the spinach, cover it up, cook it down fast until the spinach is wilted. Take the cover off again and reduce most of the water down. Set it aside to cool. And so after it cools a little bit, you want to add the cheese, and you don't want it to melt too much. You want it to kind of blend in. And then you can grate some of that fresh pepper on this mixture. So on a flat, dry countertop, paste the 2 sheets of puff pastry out, overlap them about 2 inches. Take your rolling pin after you dust this with some flour and roll it out a little bit larger, enough so that when you wrap this fish, you're going to have the head exposed and the tail exposed, okay? And then squeeze a little bit of lemon on the inside of the fish after you open it up. Put this spinach mixture in it, and then you want to fold it back over, and then put the fish on the puff pastry. Wrap it so that you have the tail and the head exposed for the beauty of this later on. So very cautiously, after you wrap it up, lay it on the sheet pan, and you want to take a sharp knife and just barely score the puff pastry, like make lines on it and then make a crisscross. Don't cut into it if you can help it, So it looks like diamonds or little squares. We'll bake this 350 degrees, make them scores about an inch, inch and a half apart, probably closer to an inch. It's going to take at least 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer. When the puff pastry, before you put it in the oven, you want to paint it with that beaten up egg wash. You want to take one egg, beat it up real good with a pastry knife, paint it up real good, and then bake it 350 degrees uncovered. When this comes out, I want you to take a picture of it. It's going to be unbelievably cool. So you're going to take it, and if you got a 2-pound fish, you want to cut it probably into 4 slices, minus the head and tail. And if you like a little bit of sauce, you can take some lemon, some white wine, maybe a cup, 3/4 of a stick of butter, cook it down fast so it's thick and creamy, put the sauce down, put the slices of fish on it. Make sure you take a picture. You're going to amaze your family and friends as to what this looks like and what kind of culinary talent you're going to get. But it's so easy. It's great.
Sounds like a fancy one, though. You say it's not a lot of work, but it's going to look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not actually a lot of work either. It's pretty darn cool. I mean, we've done stuff like this for the TV show, and this is going to be easy.
It's not a lot of work for you, Dave, because you could do these things in your sleep at this point. What about for the average person? It seems like it might be a little bit overwhelming.
Not really.
Yeah.
You're just going to cook the vegetables, the spinach, bone the fish out, pack it full, wrap it in a dough, and bake it.
You make it sound so easy, my friend. Wild game chef extraordinaire, Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show. Thanks, Dave. We'll talk to you next week.
Enjoy. Be safe out there, everybody.
Be safe. Dave's always got to get that in there, and I appreciate that. Dave is indeed a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show and the podcast and the TV show when I had it. But the biggest factor in this all, Charlie and Pat here in the studio, me, if you weren't listening, there'd be no reason to do it. So you are the most important part of this entire puzzle, this entire picture, and I do certainly appreciate it. You can reach me during the week on the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, the email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and I will talk with you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.